Okay, I'd like to call this meeting of the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee, Tuesday, October 14th, 2025 at 10 a.m. to order. And I will just sort of check in with everybody, and then I'll read our little preamble. Our members: Tim Brain.
Here. Gary
Beller.
Here.
Jennifer Carberg.
Here.
Sarah Boyce.
Here.
Liz Phelps.
Here.
Where are we here? Matt Fee.
Here.
And then staff. Leah Hill.
Here.
That's okay. That's everybody. Okay. I'm Peter Brace. I'm the chair.
Peter. Peter.
What?
I'm here as well.
I'm sorry, Hillary.
Thank you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay. Good morning. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to share your device's screen. Excuse me?
Oh, sorry. I'm in an airport, so I'll mute myself. Sorry.
Okay, I'm starting again. Good morning. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. Please be aware that other people may be able to see you, and take care not to share your device's screen. Anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. Please silence all devices and phones. For items with public comment, after committee members have finished their discussion on an agenda item, the chair will afford members of the public up to 3 minutes to speak. Members of the public who wish to speak must state their name and any affiliations. To give public comment, you must be recognized by the chair and speak through the chair. There is to be no crosstalk with others in attendance. To be recognized for making a public comment, use the raise hand feature by clicking on the React tab at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and then click on the raised hand button. When you've finished your comment, please click the lower hand button. It's important for me to note that CRAC isn't required by law to take public comment. We do so because we need your invaluable input. We view public comment as a privilege, so please remain respectful in your comments and do not disparage other speakers or members of this committee. Okay, I will take public comment now on anything that is not on this agenda. Does anyone have any public comment on things that are not on this agenda? Okay, approval of the minutes.
There's no minutes yet to be approved.
Okay. Item 5, per the Conservation Commission's request, review the design for 92 Washington Street and discuss any changes that may be warranted to better promote coastal resiliency and consistency with the town's coastal resilience plan. Okay, so I want to hear from from committee members first. I understand that the applicant is here, and we'll take comments from that person afterwards, and maybe her representative, and then we'll take general public comment after that. So did everybody have a chance to look at the application, and what do you think? Sarah Boyce.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. I don't know if this is appropriate, but I'm actually wanted to have our representative from the Concom present this, tell us what they were interested in, because I know the request came to us to review, and I didn't know but I don't know if that's allowed. That's my question to.
I can do that.
Good question. Can you do that, Tim?
I'll do my best. This is kind of a new, excuse me, a new thing. The new rules for Concom include consulting with CRAC on
our security
projects that, sorry about the
everyone.
background.
At Logan, we call it SAFE. Security
Projects that
awareness for everyone.
basically
So
to make sure that they comply
care.
with the coastal resilience plan.
Or out of place. The nearest airport employee will call those
Since this is kind of new, that's about all I can tell you. I think it's
7,300. Our security depends on each.
Concom could make the judgment that it complies with coastal resilient plan on its own, but it's Seth thought that we should put this to you just to see if there are any red flags or any questions about the project that might not, or things that might not be consistent with the CRP. So that's about the best I can tell you. Normally Concom would just consider whether it's meeting the Concom standards. I think probably it has, but also there is this obligation to consult with CRAC. So that's what this is about. So, sorry if that's a little vague, but that's about the best I can do.
Okay, does that answer your question, Sarah?
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you. That does, because we haven't been asked to comment on a proposal directly before. So I appreciate that, Tim. That was my question.
Right.
Why this proposal? But it makes sense since the regulation change.
And Seth was invited to be in on this. Seth is far more schooled in this than I am. He couldn't come, but he did say if there are any questions from any CRAC members, we'll consider them at the next meeting. So if it's just about questions that we can look at those in our next meeting and respond. So, but yeah, it's a new procedure, and it's a little strange for all of us, I guess.
Well, I look at it as a good opportunity for us to interact with the public about resilience that's in the CRP, and to just, if anything else, inform the applicant what we're all about and what we're kind of expecting in the CRP. So
Great.
Does anyone have anything they want to say about this application in relations to coastal resilience and the CRP?
Pete, can I ask a clarifying question?
Sure, Jen.
Thank you. It was a follow-up on Sarah's question, just to understand how this fits in with Concom regs. Are there actual performance standards, Tim, that our review of this would reflect back, or is it really just us? Because I've been on Concom, so I was trying to read this review without thinking like a Concom member and like a CRAC member, but just what our feedback will do in the review process.
I wish I could answer that
Okay.
with more confidence, but I can't. I think that I think it's Concom will look after its standards and so on. And this is really more about, Leah, do you have a clarification? Maybe, yeah, go ahead, Leah.
Peter, is it okay if I read number 4, the performance standards?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so according to Concom Performance Standards 390 -15 number 4, it says building upon areas subject to coastal storm flowage and sea level rise in locations where such structure would be subject to storm damage or high tide flooding may not be permitted. When permitting new projects, risk determination shall utilize the latest available data from Nantucket's NOAA tide gauge, the latest sea level rise projections, and the Massachusetts Coastal Flood Risk Model. If permitted, all construction must be in compliance with state and local building code regulations for flooding hazard areas. All construction within this area shall also demonstrate consistency with the town of Nantucket's Coastal Resilience Plan. So that's where you all come in with the Coastal Resilience Plan.
Does that help, Jen?
Yeah, thanks, Leah. Yes.
No, I asked Jen, does that help?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. It helps a little bit. So our feedback isn't necessarily an exact. We're not looking for a performance standard here. But then also to Leah clarification, we don't necessarily have. This is more kind of our interpretation of understanding. I don't know. We don't exactly have things in the Coastal Resilience Plan that tie directly to buildings in particular locations, correct? I mean, we've identified a lot of risk and analysis for the island, and I can certainly have opinions about something like this, but I want to make sure it's seated in what we're supposed to be doing with the CRP. And I'm having a little bit of trouble with that, and I really appreciate that this is in the Concom regulations so that it reflects back to considering coastal resilience and sea level rise. But, before I launch into any kind of opinions, I guess I want to make sure that we're in the correct vein of how we're supposed to be responding as a committee.
Go ahead, Leah.
Thanks, Peter. So yes, there isn't a particular recommendation for specific private properties and structures on those private properties, but there is the whole section of, for best practices for homeowners that are living in flood zones. There is, I went back through the CRP, and for the downtown neighborhood flood barrier, this property is shown in high and moderate coastal risks area because it is in a flood zone. And then there are projects, coastal resilience projects on either side of this property as well. So there's the Francis Street Beach Improvement Project, which is a couple houses, a couple parcels down. And then the Washington Street Extension, Consu Springs elevation there as well. So as far as the structure itself, that's not completely called out in the coastal resilience plan, but it is related. It's all related. It's within the downtown neighborhood flood barrier as well. And I would say too, if it didn't seem like it in the application that their bulkhead is getting replaced or elevated, but should they do that one day, then I would love to talk to them and have them come to the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee to determine the height of that as well, because we're trying to put some standards into place as well.
If I may, I think it might just be an opportunity also to inform the property owners what's going on around it in terms of planning on barriers and so on and so forth. So
Tim hit the nail on the head. We kind of want to tell you that, we do want to tell you, and I'll get to you right away, Gary. I just want to say we're trying to corral all the property owners that are along the harbor in downtown Nantucket and get them to understand that as we seek to protect and adapt in the face of sea level rise, we want unity, we want consistency along the waterfront. We can't have one person having something less than their neighbors and then potentially letting water in. It has to be that we work together. And if it works out that whatever height of thing that is developed is the same height of this bulkhead, fine. But if not, maybe the bulkhead will have to go and something else will have to go in. But we just are hoping that the property owner is open to working with the town, working with CREC, working within the Coastal Resilience Plan. Go ahead, Gary.
Thanks, Peter. I share with my fellow members of the committee that it's a little unclear exactly what our role should be in this thing, but I'm reminded of the fact that I wish this process had been in place for the last few years, because I personally used to go to some of the Concom meetings or planning board meetings when I saw properties in the flood zone putting in swimming pools, and I used to scream about it. And we didn't even have a official voice, but I used to just do it as a member of the neighborhood of Brant Point. So I'm glad we have this process. And I do assume that they've had to comply with all of the normal FEMA regulations. And we're not expert at that on this committee, at least I'm certainly not. I did notice in this particular plan that they are complying with the FEMA rules, which means that the first floor has to be whether it's 7 or 8 feet above the sea level rise. But I did notice they have 2 or 3 garages sitting there. I'm trying to figure out what are they doing with the garages, Those garages are going to get flooded with water if they ever put anything of value in them. And I wanted to make sure they're aware of that. The other thing I think that we know and that they should be aware of, and whether they're cognizant of it in connection with their plan, is that, it's very likely we may be raising Washington Street, right? in order to get those trucks from the ferry, you know, to where they have to go on the island. And to what extent will the fact that we have to raise that street, will that be something that is going to be a problem for the people putting up what they're putting up now? If they've thought about that and they're familiar with that possibility, then at least they know what the coastal resilience plan has considered as a solution to the flooding of that area of the town. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Gary. Go ahead, Joanna.
Thank you, Peter. Are you seeing that we're going to have some sort of a vote that we're going to take?
I'm thinking that we will maybe write some sort of letter, maybe, to the Concom, since we are an advisory committee, you know.
But I guess I'm feeling a little bit stuck in that we're an advisory committee to the select board, right?
Right.
And this is the first time we've looked at a Concom application, and I'm not really sure what our role would be. And I would say that we don't have a vote, right, on this, because this evaluating Concom applications is probably out of our purview. And while I appreciate that there could be some input, it seems that there should, before we make a precedent by doing anything, we should probably have a conversation about what a procedure that would make sense is. And then we should maybe ask for clarification from the select board if this is something they want us to be doing. Because whatever we do right now is going to set a precedent, and I am concerned about that.
Okay. I think the Concom is just looking for advice from us. You know, what do you think? What do you think about this application in relation to coastal resilience? And I kind of outlined that in saying that I want to make sure that the property owner and future property owners, I have no problem at all setting a precedent saying that we want to make sure that you understand that we need a unified group of people along the harbor in light of coastal resilience. That's
right. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I'm just not sure that that's our role.
I think it is, as we are the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee. We're advising them to do that. We're not saying they have to, but
yeah, I think that is a precedent.
Okay. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, I agree with Joanna that I think like outside of even looking at this proposal, that we should have a conversation maybe with the Concom about how they would like to receive our input. And because I think, you know, I think to all the comments that have been made, like I can say, you know, what we think or what, you know, what it obviously looks like it's within regulations, but as a non-regulatory committee, I think I would rely more on the Concom, obviously, to make all these decisions. And I'm sure they're going to, and they thoroughly go through every application. But I think that knowing what kind of input they want, like, or if there are just like, are there additional questions that this application might bring up? I don't want to prevent the Concom from asking us for other pieces of advice in the future. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't do this, but just to be clear that we're not providing regulatory information, because none of us have been trained on that, or and that's the role of the Concom. But I think that I appreciate that there's, sorry, my phone's ringing. I appreciate that there's now a step that is like, are there other resiliency issues that need to be considered? And so, as Joanna said, I completely agree. Knowing both what the select board wants us to do and then what the Concom, how they would like to receive this information. Is it a series of questions that we would ask, or like, oh, there's a concern about blah, blah, blah. I think that would be really helpful. And I think before we make broad statements about what we want from all the homeowners, we also have to be in agreement with that, because we're not actually asking anything from this area. So I think just, yeah, anyway, I guess that's where I'll leave it for now.
All right, thanks, Sarah. Go ahead, Hillary.
Yeah, I'm going to also respectfully disagree with Joanna. I think that, you know, Tim is the Concom rep to this committee, and I'm the planning board rep to this committee, and we have other people on this committee, so that we can collaborate and communicate across the boards, some of the boards being advisory and others being permitting boards. And the permitting boards definitely need advice from the advisory boards. And I think it's, you know, the Concom is not under the select board. They're empowered by the voters and by the Commonwealth. So if they've written into their regulations that they want comment on coastal resiliency matters on properties in the buffer zone, I think it's we're obligated to provide that information. I don't think we are really commenting on the application. We're commenting on the intersection of our coastal resiliency plan and the location. So what I would suggest as a possible path that we could discuss, if other people agree, is, you know, Leah's, from her comments, I can tell that she's looked at the application, she's identified components of the Coastal Resiliency Advisory Plan that might be relevant to the Concom's deliberation. And I think a useful thing for us to provide would be like sort of a cliff notes to here are the sections of this incredibly long plan, which you may not have read, that you should highlight and be aware of. And also fold in Peter's comments about, and here are the other things that are going on in the area that you might not know. And what they choose to do with that information is completely up to them. You know, we're not commenting on whether the project is appropriate or not appropriate, but we can definitely provide the requested information based on what's in our plan and what projects we have going on in the area. And I think that would be a really useful model for the boards to communicate on, and that I hope we would take up. Thank you.
Thanks, Hillary. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, Hillary just stole some of the things I wanted to say that was said really well. I think there's things, you know, and I agree with all that. Is it, when I looked at the pictures, I look and say, is this a large, and I'm sure the, you know, the applicant will, you know, will speak hopefully soon. And some of the questions, is it a larger footprint, by how much? Is it prepared, is this building able to be adjusted for a road? Will it be able to be moved at some point if it has to be? You know, that's a problem that we had down the street with a building that was too tall and couldn't be taken away anywhere. So, you know, so are they putting is that kind of thought going into the process? And they're not doing it here, but let's just pretend that there was a swimming pool here. I think we would be saying, hey, this is, you know, in a critical resource area and it's going to impede flow, and it could impede the area. So there's things like that, I think, that would be appropriate. And I'm guessing that that Leah is, you know, sort of ready to tell us about some of them. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Leah.
Thanks, Peter. I just spoke to Jeff and Will about some of the questions that arose about kind of the procedure and stuff. And so you're not giving like regulatory advice or anything. It's just exactly what Hillary said. It's like giving your collective opinion on this property that is in a flood zone, and the consistency within what the Coastal Resilience Plan has laid out, all in the 350 pages of it. And you don't need to write a letter or anything like that. Tim, as a Concom representative, will bring the Cliff Notes back to their meeting, which I think is next week or in 2 weeks, and speak on behalf of what you all have been opining about. Is that clear? Okay, I
Yes.
see
Yeah.
heads shaking. Yes, okay.
Yeah, the meeting is next week, and it could go either way. I could make a list of questions and concerns or information that you would like the property owner to know, or you could do it in a letter. I don't think it really matters. So it probably, again, it's the first time doing this, so it's really more, I think the most important stuff is to make the homeowner, the property owner, aware of what is going on in terms of sea level rise planning in the area. And things like what Matt mentioned is, if the house has to be moved, could it be, you know? So I'm happy to just take notes and bring notes back. And if there are questions that need to be answered, we can get back with an answer for the next CRAC meeting. If it's just a list of sort of concerns, advice, that's fine too. Or both. Am I making things more complicated?
No, you're not. And I think
Okay.
maybe you get with Leah and if you're going to report back, then you would get from her the sections in the plan that we want them to pay attention to.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Leah, did you have more to say, or your hand's still up?
Yeah, I have a suggestion to make. I believe the property owner is here. And so if I would suggest if you have specific questions about the property that you would like answered before you all make suggestions, if any, then that should occur rather than bringing questions to the Concom, having them speak at the Concom and then
Yeah.
back to you. Like, let's just streamline it if they're present.
Good idea.
Okay, so which person here is the property owner? If you could identify yourself and basically respond to what Leah just said.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I'm not sure the property owner is present, but we do have several present from the project team.
Okay.
And I'm happy to provide a few comments right now that might help this committee.
Who are you and who do you represent?
Yes, my name's Jack Vaccaro. I'm the lead scientist coastal with Epsilon Associates, and we prepared the notice of intent that is currently being reviewed by the Conservation Commission. If it's any comfort to you all, we're very new to this process as well, and we weren't, we were a bit surprised by the recommendation that this application should be reviewed by CRAC, but in retrospect, I think it makes perfect sense. And so here we are, and I guess first I just want to assure you all that we are keenly aware of the coastal resiliency plan that's being prepared for the town of Nantucket. We reviewed it and understand the town's future plans for raising the elevation of Washington Street extension. This project does not conflict with that recommendation. The property could in fact be adapted to that down the road as necessary. But we're here. We have the architect present. Leo Asadorian from Blackwell Associates is present as well. So the opportunity to exchange questions and answers. Please feel free to let us have it. But I guess the main point that I'm trying to make is that this project does satisfy all relevant standards of the state and local building code with respect to residential construction, and does not conflict with the Nantucket Coastal Resiliency Plan.
Okay.
Thank you. Camera's off.
All right. Does anybody else want to say anything? Okay, what do we do, Leah? Oh, okay, there's two more people. Good. Go ahead, Liz.
Thanks, Peter. I just had a question about, so it looks like the building footprints will remain the same, that there's no increase in structure size or number of structures, and that they'll just be raised to meet that FEMA elevation. Is that accurate?
No, that's not accurate, actually. There is going to be an increase in the building footprint size over what is currently there and what is currently permitted on the site. And that's probably something that should be clarified as well, is that redevelopment of this site with a larger residence has already been reviewed and approved by the Conservation Commission. There's an existing order of conditions allowing that. This is a reimagined, let's say, residential redevelopment. So new project with, again, with the main house elevated on piles 2 feet above the base flood elevation. And also, a reconfiguration and reconstruction of the existing garage and shed that are currently on the site. But yes, there is going to be an increase in the building footprint size. So let's clear that up.
Thank you. And but all the structures are remaining in the AE flood zone. There's nothing moving in terms of moving to the velocity zone.
No, in fact, the structure's moving further back from the water than is there currently.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thanks, Liz. Go ahead, Jen.
Thanks, Pete. Liz had one of my questions that was really helpful to hear, and not so much, I guess, directed specifically at this project, but as far as feedback to the Concom, I think one of the hopes is that these areas that are in flood zones don't see increased, ground cover. But I think that's something that, we've at least had conversations on in the CRP, thinking about making sure we have space for water flowage that we know is coming. So that's just something I'd say, but I understand it's already been approved for this project, so it's not directed at you guys. Just a general comment as far as increased ground cover that I'm pretty sure the state is going to, ask to reduce in land subject to coastal storm flowage. But the other piece, I guess, is just like the passing of information, the fact that, any landscaping that happens on the property, we'd encourage to be more native plants or adapted to more resilient communities instead of, open grass, which doesn't necessarily respond well to flooding. And then the fact that, the town will end up working on managed retreat for areas that are in flood zones like this. So just to the property owners and developers to be aware that in the future, those are things that might end up being considered for spaces like this. So that's, more just the information that we're passing on, I would say, is what is in the CRP.
Thanks, Jen. Okay. Any other comments from the committee members? Okay. So our next move is for basically Tim to pass the information on to the Conservation Commission. Work with Leah to get the pertinent parts of the plan together to pass on. Does that sound right to you, Leah and Tim?
Yeah, and Leah, maybe you and I can talk this week and figure out exactly how we want to communicate things.
Yes, that sounds good.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Okay, does the applicant's representatives, do you guys have any more questions for us?
None here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, all right. Thanks for your time.
Thank you all.
Okay. Discussion on reprioritizing CRP recommendations based on the list from last year, 24's list. Okay. Some of us did our homework, some of us didn't, but I assume we're all prepared to talk about it right now. Okay. I guess that means I'm going first. Okay. It's a good thing we're on Zoom and no one can throw anything at me. I think Surfside wastewater treatment plant should be at the top of the list. I realize my second one is stormwater management plan. But I see the protection of the plant as a more immediate thing. And stormwater management plan is a plan that is not developed yet completely. Is that correct, Leah?
Yes, that's correct.
So it's a priority, but if we can get something done on the treatment plant and protect it now, that's why I put it top. And then zoning bylaw update, absolutely, because we know how long that takes. That's number 3. Steamboat wharf resilience is up there because yes, that's our connection to the mainland for vehicles and for us and for a lot of our freight. I also, and then number 5, I put Manicat road raising and conversion of the culverts to bridges at First and Second Bridge. That's a lot of our population out there, as well as access to some businesses, access to Smith's Point. Also, number 6, bridge conversion of Folgers Marsh section of Pulpus Road. Again, more people out there. And then numerical model of code 2. Can you say what you mean by numerical model, Leah?
So within the coastal resilience plan, that is a recommendation because there are 2 spots that are prone to being breached. And so figuring out, at what point are those breached and what would be kind of an economic analysis of the breaches to help inform the areas that should be adapted.
Okay, yeah. I mean, code 2 is our natural barrier along with Great Point and the haulover from the ocean. So yeah, number 7. Number 8, Ames Avenue Bridge. Number 9, DPW landfill resilience. And number 10, Matic erosion project. So what does everybody else have? Sarah?
Yeah, thanks, Pete. Before I say like my additions, the one thing I do want to emphasize is I liked that we haven't had these in numerical order, because I think it's really important for us, for Leah, for Vince, for everyone that's writing grants on these to take advantage of the grants that are available, regardless of whether it's number 3 or number 10. So I think that I wouldn't numerical, put them first or last or second. But in terms of the priority, like raising some to a priority list, I was thinking also the DPW landfill. I don't know if you said that, Pete, but I had that as one of our high ones because it keeps getting not supported at town meeting. And I think it's something we have to deal with before there's a bigger emergency out at the landfill. And I agree with most of what you said, Pete, so I won't repeat it. I'm just sorry, I'm just looking at what else I had on my list, which I'm sorry, I did not do my homework. I did it, but I didn't turn it in. Is that like the lamest excuse? I agree that a lot of the projects that I think rise to the surface are ones that really are about our infrastructure and kind of the immediate needs. So exactly like the wastewater treatment plant, Matticat and Folgers Marsh area, Matticat Road and Folgers Marsh area, because it's access to places, and then the Steamboat Wharf for sure as well. The other piece, and I don't remember where this is in the recommendations or if it's something that has come up more and more since the CRP, was I was thinking about boat access and not steamship. Like I think there was one of the boat ramps in Matticat had previously been on the priority list. And I think of maybe it's just because it was the storm this weekend, but like Children's Beach ramp being closed, boats needing to come in and out. And I'm just curious, maybe it's not a priority, but revisiting some of the access points. Although I do think that's part of the harbor plans that are coming out. So so forgive me if I'm out of that, but how are CRP priorities mesh with the harbor plan? That's one of the things I was thinking of, was emergency and regular boat access.
So you're right, Sarah, it is part of the harbor plan. It is a recommendation. It is definitely high on our list. So it's not something that gets lost because it doesn't end up on our list. So, and I wanted to add one little addendum to my list. I put numbers on them, yeah, but I just, I could take the numbers away, but I still think that, the ones that I listed are in that order and are that important. And then the list that Leah sent us, she wrote in red the status of the ones that are ongoing. And on some of those, she said remove. And I think that all the ones that say remove should be down at the bottom, maybe at number 11, so that they don't go away, so that we know that they're still being worked on. They're still a priority, but there's already action going on them. And then the other ones that there's nothing going on, stay on the list. So go ahead, Leah.
I just wanted to answer Sarah's question. There is the F Street boat ramp, which is a recommendation within the CRP. The target implementation year is 2050 for that.
Okay, Tim? Thanks, Leah.
Yeah, I couldn't, I couldn't honestly improve on the priorities myself. And I do kind of agree that they're all pretty important, and a lot of it's going to depend on when we have opportunities to do something, like grants. But I do have a question, and just a clarification, Leah, can you tell me in as much detail as possible, not, what the process is with the steamship wharf and the planning there, and if there's any kind of timeline or anything, because to me, that's the most important of all of them. But I'm a little unclear on how what the process is there.
Can I answer that,
Go
Peter?
ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Leah, and then I'll go to Joanna after that.
Okay. So as far as the steamship, that obviously isn't like a town project, but the Steamship Authority one. But I've been in close contact with the Steamship Authority. I actually need to have a meeting with them soon, but what they've told me is that they're finishing or have finished Woods Hole. And then I think the next one is Martha's Vineyard and then Nantucket. I can't really remember, but they have applied for a couple federal grants to start the resilience planning on the island. And I don't know where those are at right now. But when they do start that planning, I have asked if I could be kind of like an advisor on it. So to make sure that whatever they do there will be able to tie into the Easy Street project and any other, projects that are surrounding the Steamship Authority. So there's no timeline right now, but in the plan, the target implementation year is 2050 because the elevation there is significantly higher than, say, Easy Street. So they've got a little bit of time.
Thanks, Leah.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Joanna.
Joanna, you're muted.
I'm muted, yep, I got that. I think that the Steamboat Wharf resilience is the #1 priority because I think it's very difficult to do a lot of the other planning in that area without knowing what they're going to do. And at different times, we've been told different things about that timeline, right? So this is the first I'm hearing of 2050, right? 5 years ago, what they said was that they would begin this work by 2030. And that it would be done before 2050. So that seems like a change in that timing because I can't imagine that we wouldn't need that before 2050.
Joanna, I need to clarify that. That's what
Go
the
ahead.
Coastal Resilience Plan says is target implementation year 2050. So that's not coming from the Steamship Authority, that's coming from the CRP.
Nope. Steamship guy came and talked to a group of executive directors like a year ago and talked about a different date than that. Right? It was not a coastal resiliency meeting.
No,
Right.
in the Coastal Resilience Plan, if you
I
go to
understand what
page,
you're saying. Yes.
Okay,
yeah,
and
no,
what are you
I hear what
saying?
you're saying. And what I'm saying to you is I have heard the Steamship Authority talk about different dates than 2050.
Okay, well, that's great then.
In a different meeting. And so I think that is critically important for the rest of us to be able to plan and for also all of the downtown corridor, as well as the Easy Street project, as well as everything else, depending on how that plays out, all of it should be kind of built off that. I mean, I think we've been talking about this for a long time too. But I do agree with Peter, the rest. I think the DPW landfill resilience is very important. The stormwater management plan is very important. And the Surfside dune restoration is very important. Wastewater treatment plant, yes. Those are the ones.
I'll get to you in a minute, Jen. I know Joanna's right. I just don't know the year, but I know it's like 7 to 10 years before they do anything. I know they're getting done. They're moving away from and getting done with the project in Woods Hole, and that we are next for
Yeah.
what they're gonna do. But I know it's not 2050. It's sooner than that.
Yep.
It's something we talked about on SHAB, and we talked about it at the Harbor Plan Update Committee. So it's not as far out as 2050. They want to get going on it. So anyway, go ahead, Joanna. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
I'm
ahead,
done.
Jen.
Thank you,
Go-
Peter.
Go ahead, Jen.
Thanks, Pete. And Leah, thank you for putting together your coordinators list, because I know I was the one that kind of asked for that, what your priorities were in here. And I don't have any changes to what you put together. I think you really captured what's still here. The two pieces I would say is I want to echo what Sarah said, is we were very intentional when we put this list together in 2024 to not rank them in a specific order, but that all of the things that we were putting on this list were our highest priorities out of all of those actions that are, listed out in the CRP. We needed to call out a select group so that the town then had that as leverage for using to go after grants, and so we could make sure that we focused attention on these particular things that are coming up fastest. So I would advocate for not, doing it in a ranking list, but giving them space to work on these things. And then I do agree with what Pete said about keeping the things that are already in progress on that prioritization list, just because it helps then keep that pressure and focus on. I know that we're in progress with getting grants, plans being developed, that kind of thing, but it also then reminds all of us and the public and the select board with that prioritization list that we're glad you're working on these and we want you to keep working on them at the same pace. So that would be my recommendation.
Great. Thank you, Jen. All right, go ahead, Matt.
No, I agree with Jen. I think leaving things on the list and I would say picking things that can be accomplished, that we can declare victory on, and that the public can drive by every day or benefit from and build the momentum. I think that's sort of should be in our thinking when we think about which things to apply for. I agree with the list as it is. I think that's fine. I did have a thought about the DPW. What with the current plan is to move the equipment, et cetera, and keep the landfill and transfer station there, and move the equipment out and maybe move the sand, et cetera, if we could get the town meeting to vote a lot of money. But I think if there's another way we should be doing it, if we should be thinking, now, if we have to break it up into two things, we should do that. Or if there's a way to help build this, the consensus for that, the right way to handle that, from a coastal resiliency standpoint, we should make that recommendation. Because I think the goal now is to leave everything as it is and move the equipment and other things. And so if there should be sequenced differently, if we should be thinking about it differently, we've got to start that conversation on the DPW now, and maybe break it into sort of smaller chunks, and I'm with Sarah. The dogs ate my homework, so I didn't put it in, but the dog got it. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Go ahead, Hillary.
Thank you. So I wanted to vote to continue to prioritize stormwater, and some of the reasons. So there are a bunch of it's in the plan. There's like 3 different priorities, and I would say all of them and make sure they're all working together. And part of it is because I think there's a fair amount of momentum behind the enterprise fund for stormwater, which means there's funding for stuff that we might want to do. And there's also some grants. And I know that we have a very capable staff person, Charles Johnson, who is working on this. So in the spirit of let's continue to emphasize the things that have momentum and have the capacity to get something done, we'll be more likely to be successful. And I think I'm just, I guess, a little concerned that might be losing some momentum, because I know there were some deadlines. He wanted to have certain plans done by September and certain presentations in September, and he wanted some support from groups like us, pushing on town administration to get he wants to have a system for pumping the stormwater out in safe ways, and he needs a study for that. So that's stormwater. Also, we do have a master plan underway, and the master plan is really important for guiding what kinds of changes we might ask for zoning on the island and how we might support a strategic retreat. So I think it's a really important time to emphasize getting those CRAC recommended updates to the zoning code done. That's me speaking as your planning board rep. And lastly, I wanted to share something about the steamship. A lot of people don't know, but there is an interconnection and a little bit of oversight between what the Steamship Authority can do and what the NP and EDC has to sign off on. Don't quote me on this, but I believe that the Steamship Authority cannot make any changes to its terminal unless it's in Nantucket's NP and EDC approved transportation improvement program. So this is really how, I mean, I think we should be doing our own island studies so that we can tell the Steamship Authority whenever they get around to it, what we want to see. I think that would be really powerful and useful. But we should also remember that we do have the ability to block stuff that they want to do that we don't think is a good idea or that we don't feel like we've been consulted on enough. And that's through the NP and EDC tip process. It never gets talked about, but people should know, and maybe we should talk about it more.
Great. Thanks so much, Hillary. Go ahead, Gary.
Thanks, Peter. I have a few comments. I agree with Hillary that one of my suggestions to Aaliyah before was that we need to move the stormwater management, because nothing really has happened over the last few years. And in order to try to get that whole process of moving further, I thought it might be helpful by raising it to a higher priority. But when you get down to it, basically, whenever I think about our priorities, I go back to the same thing I said at one of our very first meetings. It's all about the infrastructure. If we don't have the infrastructure protected, it doesn't matter about these little culverts elsewhere and these little bridges elsewhere. It doesn't matter. And that's why I continue to think we ought to keep a lot of these very basic infrastructure things. I'm thrilled about the grant that Lee was able to get for our sewage facilities. That's fabulous. That's one of our top infrastructure issues. And I'm thrilled that we're able to spend some money dealing with that issue. To me, once again, the Steamboat Wharf thing, to me should be always at the top of our priority. Now, I'm a little confused about something. I heard some numbers just now that no one's quite sure when the Steamboat Authority is going to be able to raise that road. But I've been working under the assumption all along, and when I've communicated to my other committees, I've said the same thing, which is that we were told in these sessions that in 9 years, Washington Street will be closed 100 days a year on just normal sunny day flooding, sunny day tides, a normal, right? And that's unacceptable, 100 days a year. And that's why we need to keep pushing that priority up. So what happened to the concerns we had about the 9 years out? Now suddenly we're talking 15 years out or 50. I don't understand that. Isn't that what we were told about by one of our town engineers? It's going to be 100 days closed, just normal sunny day, high tide flooding. And how are we going to get trucks through? How's anything going to get done for this town? Anyway, that's my comments.
Can you answer some of that, address some of that?
Yeah, Gary, I think you meant Easy Street, not Washington Street, right?
Yes, I mean Easy Street. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So with Chuck Larson's with the data that he's been working up through the NOAA tide gauge, he's kind of projected that into the future. And it doesn't mean that the roads are Easy Street's gonna be completely closed. It means that there'll be salt water on the road. And then at that higher level, that's when the road would be closed. It's 1.8 feet over high tide. But so that's why, yeah, and that Easy Street project is continuing as well. So Easy Street is at a lower elevation than Steamboat Wharf, and that's why that was the highest priority that you all came up with when the coastal resilience plan was developed, was because of that, you know, already occurring flooding and then the projections for worse flooding in the future. So I can give you an update on that. We're finalizing the scope for basically where we left off with the 3 design options for Easy Street. And then we're going to be doing some more data collection and a lot of other things, which maybe I can make that an agenda item for another meeting, but to tell you where we're going with that. So basically the 3 design options, once we get some more surveys and stuff done to answer a lot of the questions that the select board had and also the public had, then the select board will be more informed to decide which option to move forward to full design and permitting. So that project, we already have funding for it, and it's continuing. I just want to clarify that for Easy Street.
Thanks, Leah. All right, Christy, go ahead.
Thanks, Leah. Leah, question for you. On the sheet, I wanted to ask, your column of estimated cost, does that align with current day, or is that aligning with project implementation date? Because I'm just looking at some of these dates that are, say, 2035, and I'm thinking about, you know, for example, Folgers Marsh Bridge conversion. It just seems like we are at a current day cost, and possibly not even, but going out to 2035, it just seems like it would be relevant to have 2035 numbers so we can really ponder it. And maybe there's a comparison. Maybe there's estimated cost if we did it now, or as opposed to doing it in 2035, because I think that would hit home big time and make us maybe consider moving some of these highly visible in projects to the public, but in a way that could be financially able to do them, starting them sooner than later. So I guess my question is really the estimated costs. Is that current day, or is that for implementation date?
Is that just, I have a clarifying question. Are you looking at the pink chart?
Yeah, I am.
So those are $2020.
2020, okay.
Mhm.
All right. Well, how often could we update that? Or if we have an implementation date, I guess with prevailing wages and stuff, is there a way we could give a date, a number for the project implementation date? I'm a huge fan of moving. I would love to see, for some reason, Folgers Marsh doesn't seem like it's a major issue right now, but I just feel like it's a project that could be done sooner than later, that could be palatable financially. I don't see in 10 more years spending an extra 40 grand because we didn't do it, 10 years earlier. And I do think some of these bigger projects that are highly visible, as opposed to something that's like, sediment removal and planning, are things that are the projects that'll really get the community starting to be coastal resilience minded, So anyway, I'd love to see what costs are for implementation date, so it would better suit us to start thinking about how we plan those, instead of being, shock and awe come that time and we're looking at these high numbers. But that's some of my comments on the priorities.
Thanks, Christy.
Yeah.
Liz?
Thanks, Peter. I just wanted to, I agree with pretty much what everybody's been saying, that the priorities for me would be the stormwater management plan and the bylaws assessment, and then the larger infrastructure projects such as like the DPW landfill and the steamboat wharf resilience and the wastewater treatment plant upgrades. So I agree with, I think for me, those are the big ones. But Leah, I apologize that I didn't send that to you, but I was thinking about it and I did look at your list, which is very helpful. And I also agree with what's on your list, so.
Thank you, Liz. Go ahead, Leah.
Thanks, Peter. Only 2 people sent me their homework, so don't feel bad, anyone. I said if you couldn't send it to be able to discuss today, what you all are doing, so good work. Peter, do you want me to pull up the list that I put together and then we can go through it? I know we've been verbalizing it, but I think it'd be easier if we saw it on the screen to see if anything wants to be added or shifted around.
Sure, do that. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it in this mode so that I can type. All right, so based on our conversation today, I don't know why my hand's still up. Do we want to shift any of the stuff? I did put in progress the Easy Street project, the retreat and relocation program, and then I don't know if we want to put down the Surfside wastewater treatment plant since I did receive that grant. Obviously, it's not underway yet, but it will be shortly. So we'll move that. Oops. Okay, so sorry, I will fix that formatting, but is there anything that was discussed today that is not on this list? And I know we're not doing numerical, but do we want to shift anything around? Hillary, did you have a question?
I was also hoping to include just overall zoning. We have a, I'm gonna look up, yeah. One strategy 1-2 updates to zoning bylaw, updates zoning bylaw to encourage resilient design and limit investment in areas of high coastal risk.
Yes, that is right here.
Oh, it sounds like it's just for stormwater because we also have.
I know it's
stormwater
not.
bylaws.
It's just
Oh, I see. It says
it's the
watershed.
formatting. It won't let me
Oh.
shift it over. It's its own recommendation. It's not within.
Oh, you
stormwater.
can't use that little arrow back. Yeah. Oh, okay. Whatever. Thank you.
I'll
Clarifying
fix that later. This is its own recommendation.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. So anyone else have anything you want to add to this? Are we happy the way it looks now? Everyone's quiet. I guess we're all happy with what's there and the way it is. Yes.
Is there anything that anybody mentioned that didn't make it onto the list? Sounds like no.
I don't think so.
Is there anything that was like on a high priority list before that we're not keeping on the list?
So if we go back to last year's list, sediment budget, that is already happening. I can put that in progress. That's with the dredge plan. But I think that is the only one.
What about did you have the numerical model of code 2 breaching?
Yeah, yep, that's on here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and on the in progress list, as we go along and as you get updates on each one of these things, if you can, just include a little update on percentage done or grant received or whatever whatever progress report you have, so that if you have to show it to us again, show the list to us again, we can all see the updated list based on what's going on now.
Mhm. Okay.
Christie?
Yeah, Leah, can you remind me, DPW, DPW landfill, and landfill resilience? Is this to deal with, the property possibly after DPW has vacated? Or is this
No.
to, okay, is this to
This
sort of?
was, so in the plan,
Yeah,
it's,
I'm so- go ahead.
oh, sorry. I don't know if you're breaking
Go
up.
ahead, sorry.
In the plan, it is to do really a study, which already, let me read it. It says building scale resilience and operational resilience planning to reduce risk of damage and limit disruption to core operations of the facility. The first step in this recommendation is a site-specific study to determine the appropriate risk mitigation approaches for the facility.
Okay.
So it
All right.
doesn't really have anything to do with kind of like the redevelopment of that site or not redevelopment, but use after.
It's right on Long Pond, and Long Pond has a barrier beach that's not that wide, maybe 150 feet, and it's concerning the inundation of that area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the mind where I think this whole area, I'm hoping that DPW is able to, get their project through somewhere else. I think this whole area needs a break. And I think everything, I know Matt had mentioned maybe, splintering off certain components of it, but I think we watch all those trucks going around from each component, and I just think that this is all tied in. And I'm really hoping that something happens to where this is relocated, at which I understand leaving it on there now, considering, as Gary had said, the infrastructure needs, but hoping that if something happens with relocation, we can take it off the list.
All right, thanks, Christie. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, my point on this was if we get the study done sooner rather than later, it may influence the direction that we head and do exactly what you're talking about, Christie. We might just, if we do this part of it, then we might say, okay, we need to do this earlier, or we might say, okay, we're going to, be doing this, so there might be something that still happens, and maybe there's, some sort of processing that happens, but most of it's moved elsewhere. It may, the study itself may force us to move a little quicker than I think we feel we have to move right now. So thank you.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, makes sense.
All right, thanks, Matt. Any other additions or changes or rearranging?
Peter, can I ask the committee a question? So I know you
Yes,
don't want to
please.
number them, but I will say, when I do apply for grants, I think it's helpful if one of them, for example, I'm just going to say stormwater management plan. If I say, I probably wouldn't be applying for this because that's a stormwater team, but hypothetically, if I was applying for a grant for the stormwater management plan, I think it's really helpful and carries a lot of weight when I say this is the highest priority that the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee voted on to undertake this year. So if there was one of these out of the list that you think is the highest priority that should start today, what would that be?
I don't speak at once. Go ahead, Christie.
Can I
well,
make something? Can I make an observation? Sorry, before we start voting, maybe I missed this, but didn't we have like the retreat? Didn't we have
Retreat and relocation program?
relocation
Yep. So
program?
that's down here in progress.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
yeah.
sorry. All right. So it's in progress. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Christie.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think if I had to pick one out of these, Leah, to your point, I think stormwater management is considering that we've just started, enterprise fund, stormwater management, that this really should be something that works in conjunction with the new department. And I think that this is obviously going to be the most help soonest. A lot of these others will continue to require a lot of engineering, and I guess stormwater will also. But I'd have to say stormwater management if I had to give you one on my end.
Chrissy, can I ask you, since you're on Capcom, has there been a capital request for a stormwater management plan yet? Because I was talking to Charles about it. I'm not sure if he has submitted one. To your knowledge?
Not to my knowledge yet. Not this year. We've had a little bit of funding getting things going, but in the past few years, but nothing past that. But I think it is they're still working on it. I know David Gray sort of gave us a little, had talked about it with us because there was no one else to. So he was sort of the spokesperson for it. But I think I haven't really seen if they're have a request this year.
Okay.
And can I comment on that? I
Go
think they
ahead.
might. I think they might have funding, but I think if we're going to put this up at the top, which I agree with everything Christy said, maybe we should invite Charles to come to our next meeting.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe. Well, it'd be good to get an update on where this stands and actually making it happen. If Christie says that there's no proposal in for money, no request, then what's that saying about it going to the top of the list? Maybe it's.
I think they already have the money, Peter. I think what they have is I think I think there may be some blocks we could help with, is my impression. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Hillary, the last time I spoke with them, they have funding from previous years, but it's definitely not enough. It's like $50,000 or something. Like a comprehensive stormwater management plan is going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I've been discussing with them that they should put in a capital request for this year, because like we're finding out with the Easy Street project, all of these resilience projects that we're working with critical infrastructure have a very large stormwater aspect to it. And we need that stormwater management plan in order to help inform and plan for a lot of these coastal resilience projects. So yeah, that's why I'd asked Christy if he had seen anything come through the pipeline.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the questions that did come up in Capital Committee is they are trying to figure out how to generate income. I know a lot of these construction sites, have dewatering, and so I think they're working on sort of some of their methods of creating some sort of income.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're kind of getting away from what Leah was looking for. Do we want to have stormwater management plan at the top? Do we want to be able to say to whoever she's applying a grant for, this is our number one priority, this is our second, this is our third? So are we in agreement that stormwater management plan goes at the top?
I'd like to keep it there.
Do we all, put a thumbs up or yes?
I agree.
Matt, you have something to say?
Yeah, just a thought. What if we tiered it and said we have a top tier? If 3 or 4 or 5 are in the top tier, this is in our top tier. This is our one of our top priorities. This is a top tier. I worry a little bit about, having a favorite child.
Go ahead, Sarah.
I totally agree with what Matt said. was gonna ask Leah, actually, if you know which grants you're going to target this year, we can say these are our top 3. And I hate to, I don't mean to like be disingenuous, but we've already identified that these, whatever, almost 10 are really high priority. If we have stormwater as number 1, but there's a culvert improvement grant or something that you go for, then we will be saying, oh, we want this culvert grant, but it's not a high priority. You know, I mean, it's really just semantics at this point. We want all these things to happen, and it's really just a timing thing. I also agree that stormwater management is one of the highest priorities, but they're just also different. It's really hard to rank, right? Like stormwater management plan for the whole island is really important, but I wouldn't say that it's like more important than saving our sewer system or, you know, I don't know. It's like hard to make those judgments because they're also in various stages, right? Planning versus on the ground work for, you know, anyway. So I would sort of put it to Leah, either you can like say what you're going to be applying for, or what Matt said I really like about the top tier, you know, like what are we planning to move forward with really soon so that we can say that there are top priorities. Does that put the cart before the horse a bit, but it helps inform where it's going? I don't know.
No, I agree with what Matt said, and yes, it makes sense, Sarah. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah, Sarah pretty much said what I was going to say. I mean, we're kind of repeating the same conversation we had back in 2024 when we first created this list. We started making this list because there were so many priorities that were important. So we really needed to help give Leah a tool and give us a focus on what were those top priorities. And of course, there are some things in here that, you know, might be more of a higher priority depending on what's happened this year. But having a list like this, and I would probably argue against doing even another top tier. I think this list itself is strong enough and gives, hopefully, and Leah, please say if you need something different from us, say so, but gives Leah the tools she needs to go after grants when they become available, when the staff time is there, when the priorities are there, because things change, you know, based like what's, you know, happening with the South Shore and the sewer beds became a priority based on what happened 2 years ago with erosion and weather. You know, we need the flexibility to be able to shift this. And all of these have a priority in some different way. And Sarah said it really well that these are all very different projects in very different stages. And, you know, we could have a grant come up that is focused on doing actual implementation on the ground. And I wouldn't want us to be not necessarily delayed from going after it, but if we're saying, no, we want a stormwater management plan, but that's not what we have the funding and staff for. We have funding and staff for an implementation project. We need that flexibility in there. So my argument would be to keep the list as is and know that we've made this defined list out of all of the other many priorities that are still in the CRP that we're going to have to tackle. That's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Jen. Anybody else?
I just want to elevate also the Steamboat Wharf. I think is this the right time for me to make a comment on a new topic?
Well, next time, Hillary, put your hand up, say that you want to talk, because you need to be recognized instead of just chiming in. So yes, it's the right time. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. The issue for me with the Steamboat Wharf is that if we wait for them, it's going to be like they will have already decided what and how they're going to do. I think it would be much better for us to set a timeline and work on the things so that we can inform their process. And so I would, even if we feel like we have a lot of time, I think having a plan, it's so important. It's our lifeline, that it can't not be in the top tier.
Do we all agree on that? I'm hearing a lot of silence.
I agree.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I agree. It's very important.
Yes, I agree too.
Talk about infrastructure. That's infrastructure.
Everyone else good with that? Yes? I'm not hearing any no's, so I guess that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. So looking at the list as Leah has rearranged it, do we like it as it stands now? Yes, I'm saying yes. Joanna, Jennifer, Hillary?
Yeah, so as long as we make it clear that the zoning bylaw update, and I know Leah's going to do this, but just to put a point on it, with the master plan going, we cannot pass a master plan that doesn't consider resiliency with recommendations for some pretty difficult sacrifices that we're going to have to consider at the town meeting level. And having a really well articulated and active input process from this committee is going to be really important to that.
Yes,
That would
of
be
course.
zoning bylaw updates.
Yes, right. And Leah will get that formatted so that stands out and we know where that is, so that it's not part of the management plan.
Peter, I
Okay, so
have a question.
Oh.
I just can't raise my hand when I'm sharing for some reason. And this
Okay.
can go to new business, but I have a question to Hillary about the master plan and kind of where that's at, because I haven't heard any updates. Like when it first started, they reached out to me and I tried to have them come to CRAC, but it wasn't within their budget. And I have read, I think, one section maybe, but it was it wasn't like future planning, it was more sort of looking backwards. So I'm just curious, do you know where that is at right now?
Yeah, I'm not going to give you as precise an answer as I would like to, because the plan well, on the positive side, we have affirmed a vision statement and the planning board accepted that vision statement and it's final. I haven't looked if it's posted on the master plan site. I imagine it probably is, and it would be good for everybody to look at it if you haven't seen it. The consultant prepared inventory. So the first thing you have to do is, look at all the information. Plans are about like, what information do we have? What information do we lack? And how do we make proposals based on that, information that we're assembling to everybody? So that matches the vision statement that the island put forward. And resiliency is definitely in the vision statement. So the inventory has been prepared and I know that staff has given feedback. So that's like a staff level thing. I know that the consultant has received feedback on the inventory. Then we received at the last planning board meeting a schedule for completion with all of the tasks that have to be done and when they're going to be done. But it's because our staff time has been so constrained, because our staff is constrained, we don't actually have deadlines about when those things are going to be delivered. Instead, it's like, as soon as we get this, 2 weeks later, the consultant will give us this. So I can circulate. Have you seen that project plan? Okay, I can send you the project plan and I can probably even, dig it up, send it to you right now if you want to look at it during the meeting. But I don't have a deliverable date for the master plan. It was supposed to be now. It was supposed to be November of this year. So and we haven't seen, a draft of it. The planning board hasn't seen anything except the vision statement.
Thank you. Because I know that they're adding resiliency in there. I just haven't seen anything as far as like future resiliency. So thank you for that.
All right, thanks, Hillary. Christy, do you want to speak?
Leah, there are no capital storm water requests this year.
Okay.
Just so you know.
All right, anybody else? Thank you, Christy. So we're good with the list? Yes?
Can someone make a motion?
I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry, Peter. Leah, do you have what you need from us? I mean, as far as what you were looking for, I know you had mentioned, I really need I need a number one. And I know some people said, well, they're all important. Are you good where you're at?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know off the top of my head if I'll be applying for any grants this year because I have so many projects that I'm already managing, and 2 new ones that will be starting. So I think Matt's recommendation with like the top tiers would be fine.
Yeah,
Thank you for checking in though, Christy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
go
bet.
ahead.
And then just one other comment, who's who else is looking at this list to where they will know how we've prioritized it?
What do you mean?
In other words, Leah, you said, I need one in case I do a grant, but who else knows what's on the list? I mean,
Like what other committees or what?
I don't know. It seemed like other people were looking at this list that we have, that you were like, I need to have one number one item. And so
Oh, no.
it gave the
No, it
impression that
was-
you were like, I need one because other people are looking at it.
No, 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 sorry.
All right.
I was just asking if there was one that was like the highest priority, what would that be
Got it.
um
Okay.
from the committee?
Okay, Sarah, you just had your hand up. Did you want to ask something or say something?
No, I was kind of jumping on board with what Christy was saying of like, I mean, I want to give permission to Leah to say whatever grant she's running to say, this is the highest priority on Nantucket, but like, more like, because I think all of these are high priority, but it doesn't, I think it's just honestly a semantics at this point, and to make that top tier list, if you find you need that, Leah, and if you want our us to all vote on it, like I'm happy to do that. Like to whatever makes your job more successful and potential grants more successful. I think that you can bring that to us. That's what I would recommend, in that if there's like that need.
I agree, Sarah, and it carries weight when the committee has voted to say that that thing is important, so that when Leah says that, she can say, our Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee puts this as at a priority, and then that's considered. Maybe takes us up a notch. Go ahead, Joanna.
Am I off mute? Yes. One of the thoughts that I have is just about how this information is going to be distributed, because I think that's a really good point. I mean, for those of us who are on here from other committees or representing other committees, I think we should take it back to our other committees and release this. I'm also wondering if like this is something you would do through social media or through a press release. I mean, it seems like annually we do this exercise and it's a big deal to this committee and we spend some time on it, but we don't ever tell anybody that this is what we've done. So I think that if we were to do a press release, it could be two parts. It could say, here's the 2025 list, and here are the things we accomplished in 2024. I think for the purposes of, say, I wanted to take this back to the Finance Committee, which I do, and it could just be cleaned up into a list and say that on, October 14th, 2025, the Coastal Resiliency Advisory Committee voted to accept this as their 2025 priorities, or I guess at this point it would be 2026 priorities. And here are the things that they accomplished in 2024 or 2025. But I think that has some value, and then it gets read into the minutes for those other committees, which I think that my committee would appreciate that. Just a suggestion. Otherwise, I'm happy to move the vote.
Okay, motion came from Joanna. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second coming from Sarah Boyce. Okay, so roll call vote. Joanna Roach,
Aye.
Christy Kickham,
Aye.
Sarah Boyce,
Aye.
Hillary Hedges Rayport,
Aye.
Jen Carberg,
Aye.
Liz Phelps,
Aye.
Matt Fee,
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Gary Beller,
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Aye from Tim Brain also.
Sorry, Tim. I can only see
That's okay.
6 people. There we go. That's better. Okay. So, continue discussion on generating ideas for coastal resilience outreach, including a potential videos, finalize film purpose, and create schedule content ideas for social media posts. Okay. What am I asking here, Leah?
So here, let me share my screen. All right, so the homework, can you see this? No, did I not do it? Okay. So the other homework was to decide what the purpose of the film is.
Right,
And so this was what was talked about at the last meeting. And then I've got two homework responses, or written homework responses regarding that. So it's to finalize what you want the purpose to be. And then just as a reminder, this film pitch would go out to whoever we're going to be working with to help us with the film.
well, I'm a combination of Sarah and Matt. I did the work, but I didn't send it to you. But I don't have a dog, so it didn't eat it. But I'll just read what I think, and then hopefully it gets the conversation going. I don't mind going first. You know, I think we want people to feel woken up and alarmed, but not so scared and frightened that they think and act irrationally. We want them to come away from the video thinking, I need to do whatever I can to help the town's efforts, help the town's resilience efforts. And I have a historical example. And because Jen is out in Michigan, she can't reach to the screen and smack me if I get it wrong, but you can go ahead and correct me, please. I did contribute to a book that has this information in it. The Nantucket Conservation Foundation was formed by the executive committee of the Nantucket Civic League in 1963, shortly after the Tristram's Landing residential development happened. This was one of the first major developments that happened on the island, and we didn't have our zoning bylaw. We didn't have it in the zoning bylaw until 1972. The executive committee was well aware of Nantucket's the Nantucket property owners who each owned very large tracts of undeveloped land. So Tristram's Landing, which is in the scale of large developments on Nantucket, really not that big, but back then it was, holy crap, this happened. So Tristram's Landing woke them up, and it made them realize what could potentially happen if these landowners sold some or all of their land to developers. Their reaction was hopeful enough and positive enough, because much of that land that is now owned by the Conservation Foundation, you know, is because the creators, this committee, had the forethought for protecting natural resources, Nantucket's natural resources. So when I thought of what to say, this is what I thought of, because, you know, imagine being woken up by that. Imagine being woken up by, here's a bunch of people that came along and built all those condos out there, and then knowing what's out there for land that could potentially be developed. And they got it together, and they got the Conservation Foundation going, and now the foundation owns more than 9,000 acres. And think of how much the foundation does for the island, for all of us. So that's a positive feeling that, you know, if there's a way we can get that out there, the way we can convey that, I'm sure I could think of lots of examples to show people. So that's mine. Okay, anybody else? Don't leave me hanging. Go ahead, Liz.
I think that's a great point. I also agree that I think that we need to, you know, reiterate the fact that that sunny day high tide flooding is happening. It's starting to happen now. It's not like it's, you know, 10 years in the future. So it's an immediate problem that needs to be addressed. And also to say that, you know, we're trying to preserve Nantucket for, you know, in the short term, but also for future generations. I think it's just important to say, you know, what we're working towards and that we, we really can't wait on this. This is a problem to address immediately.
Okay, thank you. Okay, who's next? Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. I think, I said more of my piece at the last meeting, but I think that I agree with everything that you and Liz said about being really positive and hopeful, and like, we are working like in that, and emphasizing that it's something we're actively working on. But I really like what Liz just said about it being like that sense of urgency without fear, right? So it's like we need to do this now. I will say I want to make sure this isn't like all said, because I think we want to be really if in a very short video, the images will speak more, hopefully. So I feel like I just want to make sure that everything that we're saying for goals and objectives is what we submit to whatever people that are going to make the video, and that is part of the discussion. But that I almost think it's like as few words as possible, or something that can be said, anyway, I'm a wordy person, so I really want that to be something that's short and sweet, and that the images speak for themselves. So like Liz said, sunny day flooding. I'm like, wouldn't it be great to have like a few images of somebody trudging through the water on a sunny day? Everyone can go like, oh yeah, I've been there, I know what that is. Anyway, I think just emphasizing familiar imagery to people, and with that, like, we're working on it kind of thing. But we need that support.
All right, great, Sarah. Thank you. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, following up on that, I think we almost want to say Nantucket has always been changing. We've always been resilient, and show some of the old pictures and say that, we need to do that again now, and here's why. It's like sort of like make it positive that we've always, we've been changing for, since forever. And we need to do that now. It's, the pace has increased, and show pictures like they're saying, and not a lot of fluff. Just show the pictures of how, and here's how we're doing it now.
Sarah?
Sorry, what Matt just said really just brought to mind, there's some really great old videos from like Codfish Park and previous times where like buildings were washing away. And once again, I don't want to do fear, but I can see being like Nantucket has always been a resilient community. So like there's lots of changes that have happened, and you can have some of those like historic either images or videos or something that where we have faced different changes. Some of them could be very directly related to storms and that kind of thing, or it could just be like other aspects of resiliency on Nantucket, for whatever that word means to people. And then, it's kind of like that language that is familiar to people that can be tied to both us as a community and historically how we've been resilient, but then what that language and those words mean now in terms of climate change. I don't have the script or anything, but that's kind of what I was thinking about.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Go ahead, Hillary.
Thank you. Yeah, so I was thinking about the picture or the short videos that that were circulated that I had collected, and the one about the swimming hole. And I know Joanna had said that really resonated with her because it's an emotional, people have emotional connections to land, and the land is going away. But it's just very hard to talk about to get people to take action on stuff that seems abstract. So, Peter, your example of Tristan's Landing, it also had legislative impact. It wasn't just motivate, as which is that we expanded the historic district to the entire island. Because of that happening. And we're going to be asking for similarly drastic legislative action in all likelihood. And it's going to really constrain some people. And we have to demonstrate to everybody why this is worthwhile. So I think I would include, I know we say this because we're asking for support. So one of the goals is to motivate town meeting voters to support policies consistent with resilience. And I know we're getting into, you know, creative stuff, but since we're kind of going there, the reason why I brought up the swimming pool was to build on what Sarah had said about people's pictures. I had the experience just earlier this week of going through some drawers and finding some old pictures of when I first met my husband on Nantucket and we were on Mattocket Beach. And I said, oh my God, none of those buildings are there now. Like we're sitting on the beach looking so happy and like so much younger, and none of those buildings are there. And I think we could probably find people to contribute images. Like I would be happy to give that image of their younger selves from, you know, the 1990s, not like, or early 2000s, not even that long ago, and the places that we've lost. And that might be a way so to make it so that we actually do show that this is happening, as Matt had said and Sarah had said.
Great ideas. Go ahead, Gary.
Thanks, Peter. The couple of words that I sent to Leah when I thought about this relates to when I think about showing some very nice clips, you know, 3-minute clips or something like that at Dreamland about some of the projects we're working on. And then I would add the following language. As CRAC goes forward on these multi-year projects, we will need your input and at times your vote to meet these challenges. That's what I would put on those things.
Yeah, I like that. Anyone else? Okay.
Question. So for the purpose, does this encapsulate it? I mean, this was what was hopeful, but call to action that we need your help and support. That's what was discussed last meeting. And then this meeting, I'm hearing kind of similar, positive and hopeful sense of urgency, but without fear.
For purpose, I mean, it's to inform what we're doing and why we're doing it. Am I saying that right? You know, we're the Coastal Resilience Advisory Committee. We created the Coastal Resilience Plan for you because that's our purpose, right? Okay, go ahead, Joanna.
Yes, I think this letter's done. Now it's the job of whoever responds to it to interpret it, right? And give us some options. I think we did the guidelines business. It's good. But what my question is, how is this going to be distributed? Like, what's the plan?
So this Leah, this goes out to bid, correct? This
I'll have to ask for some quotes to see what this would actually cost. And then depending on that, that determines if it goes out to bid.
And so if it's under 10,000, then we don't have to put it out to bid. Is that correct?
Correct. You just need to get 3 quotes.
Okay. So, so if we, let's check on before. If you say, if we get 3 quotes, but they're over 10,000, then we,
Then it has to go out to bid.
Right.
Well, can I ask another question?
Sure, Joanna.
Do we have a vendor list that you're planning to send this to?
No, I need help from you guys for that.
Okay.
So, I mean, you know, Yellow Productions, of course. Well, y'all still there? Hello?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, Kim, all of a sudden I just lost everybody. There we go. So Yellow Productions, who else has video production companies they want to suggest? Okay, so we're all
I have
thinking
my
about.
hand raised, Peter. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sarah.
So we've also worked with NCTV. They're they're good as well. I don't know. That's
Okay, so Yellow Productions, NCTV, any others?
Peter,
Joanna, go ahead.
I think we should also try for a couple of firms that are not on Nantucket. So I can do a little research and give some suggestions.
Okay. If we could all just, you know, think of all the firms we know of that are on Nantucket. Joanna, research the ones off and then throw all that in your own time. Email Leah with suggestions. Christy, go ahead.
Yeah, Peter, just something to think about. You know, I was at the Nantucket short film thing on Saturday, and I know that like the Marine Mammal group had put a video out. It was done by Yellow Productions, but you know, that was their sort of submission to the competition, but it did get to a lot of people. You know, it was in sort of a you know, it was kind of a documentary, but it was very short. It might have been, you know, 4 or 5 minutes. But you know, they have that now going forward to share with anyone. They can play that anytime. They can play it before movies. They can play it before town meeting. They can play it anytime. But I'm just throwing out that as an idea going forward, something just to not forget. But it's a nice venue to do that, but they now have they have that product to always share, and it's always pretty relevant. So it's just a thought, just throwing that out there. And then also I wanted to add to that list. I don't know. I know it's going to come up eventually from, you know, past discussions on. I'm just curious to see how the financing is going to take place as far as homeowners, what they feel they're responsible for, what the town feels, you know, we're responsible for. And I know there's going to be a lot of gray area, and I'm not saying to change anything or any wording now. I like to not put any fear into anything, but that conversation is going to happen pretty soon. And it's going to be interesting because I have no idea how it's going to go, but it will be interesting to see how the finances lay out over time, and see how people accept the responsibility for their properties. But you know, everyone's got to take part. If you have a line of 5 houses and one person doesn't want to do something, then it might be useless for the others to do it. So I'll just be interested as we approach, you know, major financing issues. Thanks.
Thanks, Christy. Okay. Well, we don't need to take a vote. We just send your suggestions for video production companies to Leah, both on island and off. Okay. All right, new business committee, Natural Resources Department reports from Planning Board, Conservation Commission, Harbor and Shellfish Advisory Board, Select Board, Advisory Committee of Non-Voting Taxpayers, and other committee members. Jen, you have something you want to share with us, or do you want to go first, Leah?
I just wanted to point out that one of the bullets under 7 we have not got to, but I realize it's 11:49, so I think that should be moved to the next meeting about creating a schedule and content for social media posts, because we are out.
Okay, good. Hillary, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't have any particular report from the planning board, except to say that we are in that period where we're developing, you know, we've all been upended by this November 4th special town meeting that we're having, but we are in that period where we're developing articles for ATM. And the select board starts considering them, you know, this month and next month, and the window is pretty brief. We had a meeting scheduled to go over the flooding Leah, you can help me out here. I know there was a meeting that was on the books for a very long time with CRAC and planning board and planning director to work on something for the warrant related to the FEMA flood zones, and that has gotten canceled and pushed back. So I just wanted to highlight that we have a window of time to bring forth legislation, and this is it.
Okay. Thank you, Hillary. Go ahead, Jen.
Thanks, Pete. I just wanted to take a moment to introduce Dr. Emily Junkins, who is on the call today from the public. As you guys know, when we first formed the CRAC committee, because the Nantucket Conservation Foundation is the majority landowner on the island and the majority, coastal shoreline owner, had advocated to have an actual representative from NCF staff on this committee. And because I have now moved to Michigan and I'm not on the island anymore, even though I'm working remotely, NCF is going to rotate over our representation on the CRAC committee in December. Emily has been hired as NCF's new coastal wetlands research ecologist. She just started at the beginning of this month, so she's getting up to speed and will be sitting in on these meetings through December when we'll rotate over her representation. So I was hoping she could be here today so that you could all get a chance to meet her, and if you see her around the island, say hello, but she'll also be sitting in on our next few meetings as our kind of transition happens.
Great. Welcome, Emily. Okay. No other reports?
Peter, can I just give an update about the storm?
Okay.
Thanks.
Wait, that was on the agenda, but go ahead. Yep.
I don't think it was, but okay. So this past weekend, I went out to check on flooding and erosion, both on Saturday and Sunday and Monday. There luckily wasn't any coastal storm flooding downtown. I did drive by Folgers, and during high tide, it was probably the water's probably about a foot from the road. And then as far as erosion, there were some pretty large waves. I will be going out and doing erosion monitoring at the stations around the island to see what we've lost, but the areas that I checked didn't seem to have significant erosion. I did go to Dionis and I took a video of that because with the north wind, the waves were actually pretty large on the North Shore, and they were coming up to the cliff stabilizer pilot project. And you can actually see like where the cliff stabilizers were and then where they weren't. It appeared that there was quite a bit of erosion in those areas. So that was cool to see. I mean, erosion's not cool, but it was cool to see that the cliff stabilizers seemed to be doing their job. So I'll report back if there was any significant loss at any of the other areas.
Okay, thank you. Okay, discussion of upcoming meeting dates and topics. Next meeting is October 28th via Zoom. If we all got nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Who was first?
Second.
Okay. All right, roll call vote. Tim Brain.
Aye.
Jen Carberg.
Aye.
Liz Phelps.
Aye.
Hillary Hedges Rayport.
Aye.
Gary Beller.
Aye.
Joanna Roach.
Aye.
Christy Kickham.
Aye.
Sarah Boyce.
Aye.
Matt Feedy.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. See you guys. Stay dry.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
That was fast. Everybody got out of there. It felt like, I don't know, it felt like people were kind of spacey and quiet, and maybe the first agenda item caught everybody off guard. They didn't know what to do.
I I thought it was pretty straightforward what Concom was asking you guys to do, but it seemed like the members were making it more complicated than what it was.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about the project in a coastal resilience vein.
Yeah.
And I was impressed that Hillary just got it and said, you know, they're just looking for what you guys think. And I think I conveyed it fairly well that, you know, this is a good thing that people are coming to us and asking us questions, and we're
Mhm.
saying what we think. But we should never have another item like that where we don't know what we're doing, you know, and so maybe that's an agenda item in the future where we develop a protocol that we follow when another board gives us a referral and asks for our opinion. There's a process that we follow for that, as opposed to all looking at each other and going, I don't know, because it felt like we didn't know what we're doing, and that didn't feel good. So, I mean, I know what I wanted to say, and I said it, and that made some of our committee members go, I don't know if you should be saying that. That sets a precedent. And I'm like, well, we didn't set the precedent. The Concom set the precedent by referring this to us. So then we were reacting, I think. And so I said what I thought we should say, and but I think we need to be more on target and more organized if we get more of these, which I think we will.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, that can definitely be a agenda item. Okay. And then, oh, I think for the next meeting, because Joanna brought it up and it relates to the recommendations, is I guess a press release to be sent
Press
out.
release for the
Prioritization.
press release, or maybe that is a can fill the void with a social media post.
Mhm.
You know, and I don't know. Do you really think a press release? Do you think that'll? Do you want to send a press release because we're hoping that the news media will call us up and want to do something about it, or do you just want to get it out there?
Well, that was her recommendation.
Okay.
I think it could be helpful. Maybe, I mean, I don't know if they'll cover anything, but I do like how she said, like, these are the prioritizations for this year. This is what was accomplished last year.
Yeah.
Just another way to get it out, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe send it as a you know, as an advisory from us to the select board, or would you be doing that anyway?
That would, I mean, it'll be covered in the quarterly report.
Okay.
But
all right.
But I think a press release coming from CRAC would be helpful, I guess. I just don't know if I have time to actually put that together.
Are you asking me to do it?
Either you or another committee member.
I mean, it's probably only going to be a paragraph saying this is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
At the last meeting, the CRAC voted this, and then where are you going to send where are you going to send it to?
It would probably have to get sent to the communications office, and then they would send it to whoever they send it to, the different media outlets.
Okay, I'll do it.
Thanks.
I don't have time to do it, but I'll do it.
I don't have time to do it either. Alrighty, so let's see, looking at the calendar. Next meeting is the 28th.
Everyone was yawning.
You know, this weather.
Yeah, I know. Just wears you down. Although I did go pretty good 40-20 class last night that woke me up.
Oh, nice. When do you want to meet to set the agenda, or do you want to just do it over email?
Yeah, I like coming in.
Okay.
Let me look. The 8th. So how about Monday the 20th?
Yes, I could either do 9 to 10. Well, I have a meeting at 10 or after 1.
How about 9?
I'll send you a calendar invite.
Yeah, please do, because I will forget.
Okay.
Oh, God. And now I'm all like toasty and warm and dry in my house. I'm looking outside. I'm feeling it's windy and I think it's going to start raining again. And I have to go wash the barrels. Yay.
Okay. You got your rain gear?
Doesn't matter. You get soaked.
Yeah.
I got a shirt that's made out of wet dry material that just dries easily. It's like a button down shirt, and I wear that in my shorts. And if I need it, I wear a very light rain jacket, which gets soaked, and you know, whatever, you're gonna get wet. So
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Okie dokie.
right. I'll see you later.
I'll see you around.
All right. Bye.
Bye.